Remember I was telling you whenever, you go live on YouTube, it is so, you never know what to expect, but it'll kick you out and all kinds of foolishness. And I was just in the middle of the story about Lauren, and of course it kicks me out and doesn't let me restart my own live. So my apologies, guys. And all of y'all got kicked out and everything like that. So that's like totally annoying. And now it's gonna start a new link. Oh Lord. Anyway, let's get back into the story, yeah? My apologies, guys. The live kicked us out, and now I have to start a new live. I'm sure the first piece of this will be on the channel, but now it's going to be chopped into two. YouTube is incredibly annoying and unreliable when you're doing lives. Like, I thought by now they would have fixed it, but it's not fixed. Anyway, guys, so let's get back into the story. Come on back in, chime back in. I missed the comments on the first video. My apologies, guys. YouTube just kicked me out, probably because I was talking about fentanyl, probably because I was talking about race issues, probably because I'm talking about Black women. You know how it is when you start talking about the dolls. You know what I mean? Like, it just gets crazy. Anyway, so come on back in. Let's continue with the story. Let's continue with the conversation. Let's dig into this. And then I could give you some of my candid feedback on the correlation to Gabby Petito. And then I'm gonna write that down as we get back into the story. Let's talk about Bumble and online dating. And we're gonna talk about, interracial dating. And then we're gonna talk about intuition, your intuition as a single woman. And we'll talk about standards as well, because we're going to talk about this Lauren Smithfield situation. Yeah, let's do it. So the last thing that I talked about before we all got kicked out of the live was let me make sure we're back on. My apologies, guys. YouTube is just a joy to work with live. Yeah. Yeah, okay, so we're back on. Oh, goodness. All right, so here's the rest of the story. So they said she was found unresponsive. So what we're doing is today, just if you're just tuning in on the live, apologies, we just got kicked off of our original live, so now we're on a new one. And we had 4 topics to talk about as an option tonight, and the 2 that you guys picked were, 1, the Lauren Smithfield situation, where she went on a Bumble date and ended up dying in the presence of her date. And the second part is men's mental health. So we'll get into that a little bit later. But we're going to continue giving reference and reading the journalism around the Smithfield's situation. And I'm going to give you my feedback with as much respect and reverence to her life and to her family as I possibly can, right? All right, so let's get into it. And thank you guys for rejoining the live. YouTube is entirely unreliable when it comes to these lives, and you just got to roll with the punches. You just got to roll with the punches, all right? So let me go ahead and take a sip, gather, and then we'll get back into the situation with the young lady who passed away on her date. All right. So Smithfields was found unresponsive in the early morning of December 12th, 2021, after a 37-year-old white man named Matthew LaFountain called 911. LaFountain had been on a date with Smithfields the previous night and claims that when he woke up in the morning, she was lying on her right side, not breathing, with blood dripping from her nose. Okay. In LaFountain's account, he recalls arriving at Smithfield's apartment around 9:30 p.m. 9:30 p.m. the night before. He said the two had matched on Bumble 3 days prior. He claims she asked him for $40 to do her nails and told him to meet her at her house with a bottle of tequila. Per LaFountain, they drank tequila before playing games, having food, and watching a movie. At one point, he says she went to the bathroom to throw up. And at another point, he says she went outside to get something from her brother and then went to the bathroom for 10 to 15 minutes. The police report said that LaFountain found it odd, but didn't feel it was his place to say anything as he didn't know her well. He claims that she fell asleep during the movie and he carried her to the bedroom and slept next to her, and that he woke up at 3 a.m. to go to the bathroom and heard her snoring. Then at 6:30 a.m. he woke up to find her not breathing. She was pronounced dead at 6:59 a.m. and the medics said that she had not been alive for at least an hour. LaFountain, who the incident report says was frantic and visibly shaken, was not taken into custody. He was found in the bed on a date with a dead woman, and he was not taken into custody. Interesting. As of January 26th, he has not been named as a person of interest, nor was he detained at the station for questioning. Smithfield's brother was later told they didn't bring him in because he seemed like a nice guy. That's in quotes. The police didn't contact her family, nor did they immediately examine the crime scene. So they found a dead woman in a bed with a man. They didn't bring the man in for questioning. They didn't test the man for any kind of drugs, alcohol, nothing. They didn't secure and clear and pull evidence in the crime scene because they thought he felt like a nice guy. Okay. The police also did not contact her family, nor did they immediately, as I said, examine the crime scene. So here's what it's saying now. No one in Smithfield's family was notified of her death. No one in her family. This is a 23-year-old young lady, 23-year-old girl. Nobody in her family was notified of her death. Per Rolling Stone, police spoke to her landlord when they arrived at the scene, but were unable to track down contact information for her family. So they ain't have her phone. They couldn't see her phone nowhere. It's a 23-year-old girl and they couldn't see her cell phone nowhere. That sounds logical. Anyway, let me not get heated. Let me just go ahead and read the article and then we can get into it. I'm gonna read a little bit more and then we're just gonna get into it. I'm trying not to get heated, but to me, how you could not find you could find her landlord. You could find her landlord's information, but you can't find her phone to find her in case of emergency. Nobody was calling her phone that whole night after she went on a date. Anyway, okay, we're gonna calm down. We're gonna calm down. They were unable to track down information for her family. Okay. Her mother, Chantal Fields, says she went to her daughter's apartment a day and a half later when she hadn't answered text messages and calls and found a note on the door. A note on the door that said, quote, "If you are looking for Lauren, please contact this number." Upon calling the number, Fields was notified of her daughter's death and told that detective assigned to the case would be there in half an hour. So they told her her daughter was dead on a note on a door and then on a phone call and told her, hold on, we'll be there in half an hour. After waiting over an hour, she said she called the number again and was told to stop calling before being hung up on. I wonder if they know that I would have burned down that police precinct. But, anyway. So the police didn't do a crime scene investigation until later that week. So all the forensics is all dry by this time. But all right, whatever. They didn't do a crime scene investigation until later that week when the case was reassigned to a different detective. According to Smithfield's brother, Lakeem Jeter, he and his family noticed cups of liquor, flipped plates, and lube in the apartment, and a blood stain in the middle of her bed, none of which were initially examined as evidence. 2.5 weeks after the search on December 29th, her family was cleaning out Smith's apartment when they found a used condom in the trash and an unidentified pill, none of which appeared to have been taken into evidence. Meanwhile, according to the family's lawyer, no evidence has been submitted to forensic science lab. The article goes on to say that her family is planning to sue the city for failing to properly investigate her death, and the Connecticut medical examiner ruled her death an accident. Okay, so fentanyl is an accident. All right, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and post this article into the chat so that you guys can see it. On our other live, it was posted in the chat. YouTube kicked us off the live. We had to restart a new live. And so since we are in Mercury retrograde, we just gonna roll with the technical issues, even though YouTube stay having technical issues. But just in case you guys want to read the details yourself of the article, I put it in the comments there so you can check it out. Okay. So a couple things I want to talk about, and as you can see, the title of this video is Stop Forcing Black Women to Date Outside of Their Race. And I think one of the biggest issues, this is where I want to start. Let me start here. If you are a single woman of any age, you've been in situations like this. I'm not going to say that the circumstances are precisely the same, but you've been in situations where you've been on a date with somebody that you barely know, and you're trying to be open, you're trying to be have fun, you're trying to meet new people, you're trying to go outside of your comfort zone, you're trying to do all of these things to put yourself out there and welcome new relationships with men. There have, if you're lucky, you've survived these encounters, right? Because we've all been in them situations. And women, you can ask any woman, you've all been in those situations where your gut is twinkling, especially when you're young. Your gut is twinkling, something is telling you something ain't right. But you're just rolling with the punches because maybe at that time you're not old enough to trust yourself fully and to know when your intuition is speaking to you clearly, yeah? There's situations where I've been in like this, and by the grace of God, I've not gotten been murdered, right? I've never been drugged or anything like that. But those things, all of the things that happened to her, these are things that people warn women about all the time. You live your life on pins and needles as a woman. I'll say this to you. When we heard a lot of the deaths of Black men being murdered and things like that, you would always hear Black parents say, oh, I used to tell my children that the police will kill you, be careful, this is how you have to act, this is how you have to behave. And the truth of the matter is that there are two instances that my mom told me that people will kill you when she was bringing me up and grooming me to be a young lady. The police and men. Those were the two things that my mom told me. Them would kill you, is her exact words. Police, we obviously know what the issue is with police. Men, femicide is a huge thing. I'm from Miami. The men will spin around one time, kill you, kill themselves, kill all the children, shoot up your mama's house, shoot up everything just because of this toxic masculinity need to have dominion. And if I cannot have dominion over this piece of property, this pussy property that I own, if I can't have dominion over it, I'll kill everybody. If I can't have her, I'll kill everybody. So my mama told me from jump, tread lightly when it comes to them because them will kill you. Tread lightly when it comes to the police because them will kill you. So, that's the background that I come from. I am very, 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 very careful, and I do not let my guard down when it comes to men. This is a double-edged sword because that means that if I am interested in someone or if someone's interested in me, my guard is up. My guard is up because I have to protect myself. One thing about Georgia, it's like in Florida, it's an open carry state. So the women around here is walking with heat on them 24/7 just to protect themselves. You know what I mean? And so I understand it. What seems to have happened in this situation with Lauren is that she went on Bumble. So one, she thought she had the control because you guys know Bumble. I talked about it in the last live that we got kicked off. Bumble is the one where the woman gets to make the decision to open the door. So you swipe left, right, east, west, north, south, whatever way. I'm not on the app, so whatever way to say yes, the men, and then the woman has to basically swipe yes on you for the conversation to begin. So for one, it seemed that Lauren was really trying to take to be on the app that allowed her to have more control. So I can see, okay, that's probably where her mindset was at. Two, she was on this date with this 37-year-old guy. There's a lot of talk about women. If you're wanting to be in those relationships with a mature man, with a man that's serious about his stuff, go older. So she was 23 and he was 37. So it seems like her parameters was open, right? Because she was trying to date, up. She was trying to get that stable, ready man. Maybe she wanted to be married. So that probably was her mindset there in the 37-year-old man. The third thing is that it was a white man. So, if you grew up, if you're in the digital age and you're deep on the internet right now, you will see that there is so much visceral, is that the right word? Visceral? Like toxicity, let me use that because at least I know that's the right word. Toxicity when it comes to Black dating conversations online and this red pill community and the level up community on the woman's side, the hypergamous, dating people that can either actually elevate your life instead of dating regular. So I think her with the dating the 37-year-old, with trying to date the white man, she was trying to just go outside her comfort zone. The way that Black women are spoken about on the internet is so derogatory a lot of the times that your only option is to feel like you have to date outside of your race. The thing with dating outside of your race in America is that it is very uncomfortable. You guys know that I spent a lot of time in Europe. I spent a lot of time in London. I've traveled Europe. Dating in London to me as a Black American, dating in Sweden, in Spain, all of the European countries, because I'm Western, so I'm talking about the Western slanting countries. It's very easy because the men there, the white men there, have a reverence for you that's palpable. You can feel it, right? There's a reverence, there's a respect for you. Some are fetishizing you, of course, because they see your dark chocolate skin and they just want to lick. But, it comes with the territory when you are a goddess. Yeah. And so overseas, that's how you're treated. So it's easy to date overseas and there's a respect there, right? It's more difficult to date interracially here in the States, I find, because that reverence for divine feminine Black women is not there. Some pockets have it, of course, but generally in the general average community, it's not there. So you end up, when you're trying to date, you end up being not only uncomfortable dating interracially, but you're also uncomfortable. You can't tell the difference between being uncomfortable just by dating interracially and being uncomfortable when the situation is a red flag. It's a red flag. So you're uncomfortable and you're thinking, oh, it's just because I'm dating interracially. This is in the US. But also you have to also layer in that knowing when a man is a demon. This goes back to what my mom told me. Then we kill you. So you have to know, you have to follow your gut to the T. You have to double, triple check. You have to let people know where you're at. You have to take pictures, identification, send it to your friends. You got to let them come knock on your door. You got to let them know where you're going to be at. Now, mind you, when I was young, did I do all this? No, ma'am. No, ma'am, I didn't do all of this. By the grace of God, by the grace of God, here I go. But these are things that you're coached on as a woman to really, really watch for men because they're demented sometimes, especially ones that you do not know. Seems like her intuition probably was flagging her on this crazed man that she ended up dead beside, but she probably could not decipher if it was just the uncomfortability of being interracially dating a white American man or if it was something, flagging her about his character. Okay. And so that's why I say stop forcing women to stop dating interracially. And I say stop forcing women to date interracially until y'all really know how to treat a woman, until a woman really knows how to decipher whether or not he's a crazed lunatic and your intuition is flagging his character, or if you're just slightly uncomfortable because he's white American and it's hard to date white American men. If you travel a lot, like I recommend on this channel, you will see the difference very clearly what I'm talking about. You don't even got to go overseas. You can go to Mexico. You can go to Canada. You can go to the Caribbean. You will very well see a difference in how the men treat Black women anywhere outside of the contiguous United States than how they, you'll very well see that. So I think that her intuition probably was flagging on her, but she probably couldn't decipher if it was just the uncomfortability of dating a white man generally, or if something was going on, like he was drugging her. Anyway, so let's move on a little bit. It's such a sad story. Like it's such a sad story. So let me take a breath because I'm trying not to get too upset about it, but I am trying to express to you guys like what I really feel about the situation. So dating online. You guys know that I don't date online. There's been times, it's a very difficult situation. You guys know that I'm single, as far as y'all need to know. So, there's, when you don't date online, there's this sense that, oh my gosh, I'm not putting myself out there enough. I'm not, how will I find anyone? I will never find anyone because I'm not online, and I'm not putting myself on the meat market like a piece of freaking floppy fish on the market for any Tom, Dick, and Harry to come try to be talked to. That's how I feel about it. I've had friends pop me online. Oh, Kells, you gotta go, online. Let me put you online. Child, 2 days. Delete, 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 delete. It doesn't sit well with my soul. It doesn't sit well with my soul. And so now you end up being between a rock and a hard place, right? Because you're thinking that, oh, I'm not really putting myself out there. Like, should I? But then your intuition dead tell you to get yourself off those apps. Don't ever do that. So I feel like a lot of women might be in that situation. And what I'm going to say to you is that if your intuition is telling you to keep your behind off those apps, keep your behind off the apps. The faith that it takes to know that you will be able to navigate this world and find a love and find your match and find your partner without having to put yourself on an app like a on sale piece of meat. The faith that it takes to do that might require some faith. But what I'm telling you is that the feeling that I get in the one day that my friends put me on that app and I try any of them and I tried it is disgust. People that would never come within 10 feet of you in the flesh are automatically on your phone trying to tell you something, trying to get at you, and you have no idea who they are. You have no idea who they are. It is a very scary situation, and because it's behind the guise of a screen, it seems like it's okay, but it is very scary. Recently on the last live, I talked to you guys about the, Plenty of Fish serial killer in DC. The man was luring women through Plenty of Fish and then luring them to a motel and murdering them. There's like four or five women murdered right now that they're investigating in DC off of Plenty of Fish. And this is from 2 weeks ago. And I talked about it in a previous live. Now you have this beautiful young lady murdered on a Bumble date. I don't know how we're gonna turn back turn back the tides and the hands of time and come back into a more reasonable way to meet human beings. But the app thing is not for me. It's never been. And the way the news is looking right now, I think y'all need to leave them apps alone. I really think y'all need to leave them apps alone. If you really want to find somebody, hire a matchmaker. That's what I'm gonna say. Every time I come through Hartsville, Atlanta airport, there's a big giant billboard talking about matchmaking. Use them, use the professionals. But don't go swiping on no app, letting no man in your house 3 days after you match on some app, or meeting some serial killer at a motel a few days after you swipe and match on Plenty of Fish. There is no victim. I'm not talking about victim blaming. And honestly, I've been called, my European friends, when I studied overseas, I was so careful. They used to say that they used to look at my actions and think that I was overprotective. They used to be like, oh, Kells, it felt like I grew up in a ghetto or something. Like I grew up like shell-shocked or PTSD. That's how they treated me. Like, oh, it's okay, honey. You can leave your purse there. No one will steal it. Like I grew up in someplace that was really bad because I was so, I never really let my guard down. So as I said earlier in the broadcast, double-edged sword, right? One is you end up not really letting your guard down because, as I told you in the beginning, them will kill you. Or two, you end up not having enough guard up, and you end up in a hugely unfortunate situation of being targeted by a serial killer, targeted by a one-time killer who they let off and let walk scot-free because he was a nice guy. Or actually dating some man, him getting mad because you break up and him shooting up the whole place, killing you, your mama, your auntie, your brother, your cousin, and then himself, when he probably should have did that first, but that's not either here nor there, you know what I mean? But it's a very precarious situation you're in when you're a single woman. Standards, let's talk about standards. Don't you ever in your life let no man in your house 3 days after you matched on an app. You don't know this man from Adam. You don't know nothing about this man. You don't know what kind of diseases this man have. You don't know what kind of mental illness this man have. You don't know what kind of plotting on you this man have in his mind. You don't know what kind of sickness. You don't know what kind of demons. You don't know what kind of spiritual impurities. You don't know nothing about this man. You don't know nothing about this man and you have the man in your house. Now, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, oh, he's coming to my house, so he's in my space. I'm safe. You know, maybe I got a little something for his ass. Maybe I got some heat, you know, in my, you know, underneath this. So if things go awry, you know, maybe I'll get it cracking. You thinking all of that. You thinking you're safe in your house. But as a single woman, don't you ever in your life let no man in your house after knowing him 3 days. Don't you ever in your life meet no man at no hotel, motel. I don't give a damn if it's Fontainebleau on Miami Beach or if it's Blue Inn over in Hollywood somewhere. Do not meet no man after 3 days of knowing him or matching on no random app. Standards for yourself. Again, it's not victim shaming. I'm not talking victim shaming. With the utmost respect for this young lady's life and her family's life, utmost respect for the serial killer and the women that the serial killer in DC has killed off the apps. The utmost respect for them, and God rest their soul. But for the rest of us that are alive, in case your mama didn't tell you, in case your auntie them didn't tell you, in case your best friend didn't tell you, let best friends Kells tell you. Don't you ever in your life let no man in your house after 3 days. Period. Don't you ever in your life meet no man at Motel 6 around the corner or Fontainebleau or the W or any of that after 3 days of knowing him. You don't know that man. He will drug you and murder you. Y'all don't know that? Nobody ever told you that? I'm not saying, you know, as a single person that has been around for a long time, there's been situations that I've escaped by the skin of my teeth. By the skin of my teeth, I'm like, damn, he could have got me. You know what I mean? So but for the grace of God go I. So I understand the situation. But since we are still living and since you guys wanted to discuss this situation, let's talk about it and let's talk about it candidly. Have standard for yourself. Don't let the foolishness that you see these men talking online, these sick, mentally ill men, don't let them make you think that they are the only choice that is for you. You don't have to put yourself online like some piece of meat advertising because you think there's no men out here because you're watching red pill foolishness and going down a rabbit hole of these sick men, talking all of this foolishness. On this planet, let's get spiritual for a second. On this planet, this is a planet of polarity. What do we mean by a planet of polarity? It means that for every light, there is a dark. For every up, there is a down. For every left, there is a right. Everything that you can imagine, for every good, there is an evil, equal amounts on this planet. And anything that you look for, you will find. So if you're looking for the good, if you're looking for the high, if you're looking for the elevated, if you're looking for the elegant, if you're looking for the love, if you're looking for the precious, for the joy, for the luxury, for the sexiness, for the juiciness, for the softness, for the thrill, you will find it. If you're looking for the depth, if you spiral into those rabbit holes online and end up into some conversations that your ass got no business being in, and now it's all in your feed, you will find it. You will find it. So protect yourself with that understanding that everything is on this plane. Everything is on this planet. And you dictate what comes into your experience by what you put your attention on. Not every single thing is solely up to you, but you have a greater command of what you experience than we have been told individually. It's something that you have to learn and practice and test. You ain't got to take my word for it. Matter of fact, don't take my word for it. Test it yourself. But do not sit here and say nobody ain't tell you. I told you. Kells told you. Okay? You have more control over what you experience in this life than you think. And yes, as the pendulum swings right, the pendulum swings right. There's just as much evil as there is light on this planet, but you dictate what you pivot to. So stop watching that foolishness online and making these sick men online and sick women online make you feel bad about yourself, and then make you react by doing silly things like putting yourself on apps and then agreeing to meet up with men that you do not know, or women. Men, I'm talking to y'all too. Don't you ever in your life let no woman in your house. Y'all, men have sense. Sometimes we act like men are only driven by sex and their sex organs. This is not the truth. This is not the truth. Decent, God-fearing, matured men are not driven by sex. Men that are driven by sex don't get any. Once you a man and you got your stuff together and sex is being pussy thrown at you, you don't have to do stupid things like let a woman in your bed, or some strange woman know your exact address and come into your house 3 days later. It's not as dangerous for men as it is for women, but you know what I'm saying here, right? So, be very protective and have very high standards for yourself, and do not let no man into your house 3 days after you meet them. Let me tell you something. I don't even let a nigga pick me up at my house for a date. How about that? How about you don't get to know where I live? How about you can't pull up and circle my block and know what my front door looked like? How about no? How about no? How about I'll meet you at the restaurant? How about that? I don't want you to know where I live. I don't want you to know where I live. You have to earn that. And it's going to take you a long time to earn it. So if you guys want to be like me, think about that one. But I don't let nobody know where I live like that. When I lived in a high-rise 20th story, you might know the building, but you probably won't know the floor, and you will not get past the doorman. You know what I mean? But as I have a house, you're not going to get my address. It's going to take you a long time to get that address. You know what I mean? And so things like that you learn as a single woman who've been in the game. These niggas will circle the block. You let them know where you live. You're not with them anymore. They knocking on your neighbor's doors. They're circling the block. They know when your car's in the driveway, not in the driveway. They want to knock on your door all the time. They see another car in your driveway. They want to peer through your window, see who that is. Don't let them know where you live. You know what I mean? Protect yourself. And so regardless of what they're talking about on the internet, they don't live this life. They don't live in this body. You know what I mean? So they can say whatever they want to say, men. But when you're a woman, you need to protect yourself and have some high standards for things. High standards for things is what I would like to say there. You know what I mean? I see you guys chiming in the comments, and I know I'm like not even reading the comments, and I'm a little bit hot because this situation is it's near and dear to my heart, because you guys know I started this channel as a dating in London channel. I moved overseas. Everybody was saying, you're going to get married. You're going to get married. You're going to get married. Child, I wasn't even thinking about getting married. I was just trying to go study and travel. Maybe I probably was thinking about getting married, but I really wasn't. But everybody kept saying that. You're going to get married. You're going to get married. So I was like, okay, if y'all say so. I go over there. I see why. I saw why. Just treated so incredibly well overseas by men and women, by everyone, white, black, everybody, Asian, a lot of African, a lot of Asian, South Asian, everybody treated me very, very well. And so I started doing videos called Dating in London. That's where the majority of the subscribers came from. That's majority of my views on this channel. And so you guys know that it's near and dear to my heart to talk about dating situations. When I moved back, I was in DC. I started talking a little bit about dating in DC. It was dry, child. It was so dry. I was thinking I was going to be back in London within a year. Of course, all of the this man got elected and that man got elected, and the immigration, and we got locked down, and then I got stuck in work, and then tried to move COVID. It just nothing. I wasn't able to get back overseas. But you guys, all of that is to say, dating conversations are near and dear to my heart. And if you've been watching me a long time, you know that I don't play with those apps. And these are the situations that I'm juggling, and the reasons to why, the logical reasons why. You know what I mean? And so I want to say the utmost respect and reverence to this young lady who lost her life, and to the other women in DC area that lost their lives to that serial killer. But to those of us who are still awake, or still alive, you know, protect yourself, and also protect your mental health. Because another thing is, with her age being 23, I know that a lot of her experience in the world is clouded by the internet. And she thinks that what you see people talking about on the internet, or what you see people conversing about on the internet is the truth and the full story. It is not. It is not. I had a girlfriend of mine. Y'all do me a favor and hit that like button, get the thumbs up. I see y'all in here and y'all talking in the chat. I'm about to jump in the chat in a second, but do me a favor and smash that like button. I would so appreciate it, and it helps me get some visibility and light in this YouTube world. And you guys know I'm trying to get back in it, so I need your help and your support. So if you would smash that like button, I'd so appreciate it. Let's get the likes up. So what I was saying was, hold on, let me just check. Y'all liking? I appreciate. Ooh, I see comments. Lord, I'm about to jump in these comments in a second, guys. So, oh my gosh, what was I saying? No, not all men are. I'm seeing the comments. No, of course not all men are bad, but you have to protect yourself as a woman, and I think it's important for men to understand that. And I would ask that if you guys could be defenders of the feminine. If you know that not men are all like that, and you know that you're definitely not a man like that, I would ask you to be a defender, an open vocal defender of the feminine. What I was saying was about Lauren's perspective of the world. She was 23. That means she's a digital native. Before she was even born, the internet was big, right? And so everything that she understands about this world is through the guise of this internet world. And if you look on the internet right now and you look at dating conversations, it's pretty damn toxic. And so she probably felt that she had no choice but to interracial date. She probably hasn't traveled a lot to know the difference between how men treat you in this very toxic, gaslighting United States versus how men treat you in different parts of the world. The reason why I go to that level is because that's how I learned it. I knew something wasn't quite right with how things were going in the US, or like dating even in Miami and things when I was younger. I knew something wasn't quite right, but it wasn't until I hit over the Atlantic and landed my behind in Europe and all over there that I realized, oh my God, this is completely different. This is completely different. And just be able to look at that difference really helped me understand what was happening here. And it is a lot of toxicity. And you ever hear that phrase where they say, how do you demolish an empire? It's from the inside. It's from the inside. You poison the water from the inside. Well, I feel like that's what's happening with this red pill community, especially in the Black manosphere. You know what I mean? And so I'm not here, as I said, I'm not here to be Captain Save-A-Ho. You could hate and talk and do all that you want to do till you blue in the face. I don't care. I don't business. I'm not going to sit here and debate a mentally ill person, especially nobody sitting behind a computer screen. I had a girlfriend send me an article today. I said that was talking about how toxic the men are and like this and that, and I couldn't empathize with it. I couldn't sympathize with it. It was specifically about the red pill manosphere. Not every man, not man bashing. I have a lot of men in my comments. A lot of men watch these channels because they want to hear a perspective, my perspective. Yeah, so not man bashing at all. I love men, love them. But there was a particular article that she had sent me. Oh, crazy man. I'm not. I don't have time. Like, if you want to sit online and talk about how much you hate black women, by all means, till you blue in the face. Can you imagine that that's what gives you pleasure in life, to sit online and talk about how you hate your own? That gives you pleasure. That's the relief. Can you imagine what kind of toxicity, mental space you must be in to find relief and comfort and pleasure in that? Can you imagine what space you must be in, that the only way that you can make yourself relevant, the only way that you can find enough guts to open up your mouth and have something to say, the only way that you can make a little extra money, because you know the social media stuff make you a little extra money. Can you imagine that the only way you can make a little extra money, you can make a living to pay your little rent, is to turn on the computer or turn on the podcast, everybody on podcast, and talk foolishness about women, the most divine creatures that ever walked this earth, and you're a man? As I said earlier, this is a planet of polarity. For every light there is dark, for every right there is left, for every up there is down, for every east there is west. You will find everything. Just be mindful of what you're looking at. And if it doesn't serve you, if it doesn't feel good when you talk, when they speak, if it doesn't make you feel good, don't watch it. Block, delete, mute. Block, delete, mute. Don't look at it. If you don't look at it, it doesn't exist. If a tree falls in the forest and nobody's there to hear it, does it make a sound? No. Somebody has to be there to receive it for it to make a sound. There has to be a receiver for it to make a sound. So if they're running off at the mountain and talking foolishness, block, delete, and move, you didn't hear it. It doesn't exist. Yeah? I think that's enough of me ranting about that situation. I'm going to look in the comments because I do see y'all talking over here. Yeah, they were talking about her phone may have been locked. Her phone doesn't lock. If there's a death and there's an iPhone and it's locked, you can contact Apple and let them know that we need to notify next of kin. Can you look in her phone and give us a number? They don't have to unlock it, but there's ways around technology. There's no way that a 23-year-old didn't have their phone somewhere right around. And she was in her own apartment. You mean to tell me there was nothing in there that told them her phone number? That's foolishness to me. This gentleman saying that he doesn't have a lot of male friends like that, and that's good. And I ask you to be an advocate. If you and your male friends are not like that, I ask you 100% to be an advocate and to speak and be vocal about it. California Love, what's up, Stephanie Brown? Okay, so Stephanie Brown is saying single women tell too much of their business to strangers. They're too busy being the victim, and that victim mode leaves them unprotected, open to brutality. I'm not interested in the part that you mentioned here about being the victim, but I do agree about the part about telling too much of your business. That's very easy to do when you're a digital native, but you have to be very, very, very careful with that. I think you tell too much of your business. The article that my friend sent me earlier about the woman who ended up being on a date with this red pill guy. Red pill is that man, that toxic manosphere guy. She, he had asked her, she was talking about how she was a feminist and and she was already spewing off her ideologies. Sis, shut up. Don't tell no man you're a feminist. Why? If you feel compelled on the first day to be like, I'm a feminist, and you're on a date with a man, red flag. Why don't I have a red flag? I need a red flag. Red flag. You don't tell no man that. That's like talking politics and religion. You don't do that up front. You don't do that up front. Stop pouring out. Remember that you are the receiver. Femininity, you're the receiver. So you're listening more than you're running off your mouth. You don't have to use your intellect and tell them everything about you. I had this conversation with my mom. I would tell my mom, I don't be telling them that. Why you don't tell them that? Why don't you tell them this and that and this and that and that? I don't tell no man none of that. You gotta earn that. I don't have anything to prove to you. I don't have anything to prove to you. You have to prove to me. Or you don't. We just be two people sitting there not proving a damn thing. Rather that then. But I don't have anything to prove to you. So I don't run off my mouth and tell you that I'm a feminist and I have this education and I drive this and I live there and I make this and I have this invested and I do this and I do that and I do that. I don't have anything to prove to you. And when you end up running your mouth more than you listen, you end up in dangerous situations as a woman. Shut up. You don't have nothing to prove. Let him prove something. Let him talk and you respond. Let him ask questions and you respond. Not all the time, but don't as a nervous habit. Just blah, 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 and I live here and I went there and I went there and I studied this and I have this much and oh my God, and I lost this and I won this and I did. Girl, shut up. You know how many dates I walked out of? I had dudes be rude, and I warned them, you know, I'm like, look, I'm Jamaican. What that mean? What that mean? I'm just letting you know. I'm Jamaican. Oh, well, excuse me a moment. Nigga, all you see is smoke. I'm gone. You understand me? The man at the front's like, bye, have a good night. I'm like, bye, sweetheart. Good meeting you. Gone. Gone. I don't have nothing to prove to you. And you're not gonna denigrate me like you see on the internet. This real life. In the flesh. It's Kells. Back at it again with another video. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, so back to the comments. Stop telling too much of your business. That was a good point. Santhia said, period. Period. That was about, Santhia was saying period there when I said, don't you ever in your life let no man in your house after 3 days. He not even supposed to know what your front door looked like. Uber there, honey. Have somebody drop you there, sis. Don't let no man know where your front door look like. You mad? 3 days and you don't know the man? Now, okay, if this is somebody from your family friend, if this is somebody that you know, if this is somebody that you've been dating long term, if this is somebody who's tried, true, vetted, you know what you need to know, good. But you swipe right on Monday on Bumble or Plenty of Fish and Wednesday the man is in your house? Love you too, Santhia. All right, Kimmy. There are absolutely gentlemen still out there who treat women like ladies. We're not all bad. No, one of the best things about being on online and kind of having a little bit of a visibility is that I get to see the sweetest, tenderest part of a lot of men, because not a lot of men. Let me, that didn't come out right. Like a few men, right? Because sometimes they, follow you and they comment, or they say things to you, or they compliment you, or they just feel free. They feel like they know you. A lot of people feel like they know you personally from these platforms. And so there are a few men that have been around for a long time and on these platforms, and they're so kind and sweet. And mind you, I don't know them, and you will never meet me in real life. Excuse me. But I, for one, understand that there are amazing men absolutely out there, and I just want for you guys to turn your attention from the toxic space online and turn it from that and turn your attention into what you do to secure yourself, be respectable, have standards, and be protected, and also open up yourself to the men that are more aligned with your divinity. But the first of that is that you have to cultivate your own divinity first and foremost. You can't be making mistakes and doing things that make you seem less than who you are. You have to be aware of what behaviors make you seem less, and relax your boundaries too much, such that dangerous things can happen to you. And as I said, this is the world. This is a world of polarities, and things happen to good people. It does. But you want to protect yourself as much as possible, while still trying to be soft and open and gentle. And that's the rock and the hard place. That's a catch-22 of being a woman. Yeah. So it's harder than it looks, guys. It's harder than it looks. Okay. Yeah. So Militia Grant says, nice to see you on YouTube again. Thank you, honey. Yeah. And Santi is Jamaican. Oh, you're Jamaican, girl? Come on, then. Come on, then. Yeah, so anyway, so this live, we had 4 topics on this live, and you guys wanted to talk about the Bumble date death with Lauren Smith-Fields, rest her soul. And so we kind of talked about just the situation of online dating, interracial dating, having standards for yourself, and understanding that you know, it is dangerous out here as a single woman, and that what you some of the things that you need to think about to pull yourself away from the toxic gaslighting that is online and pull yourself together into the real world and understand like how you set standards and boundaries for yourself and still be open to dating, but don't make mistakes, you know, like, you know, not trusting your intuition because you can't fully tell the difference yet between trusting your intuition and going outside of your comfort zone. I bet you a lot of people was in this girl's ear or online, you know, date outside of your race, go outside of your comfort zone, date outside of your race, go outside of your comfort zone, to the point where, you know, you can't even tell what's uncomfortable or what's outside of your comfort zone or what your intuition is flagging you. So that's the only thing that you know, I have concerns about here and that I really wanted to talk to you guys about. Again, there's reference to Gabby Petito on this, where they said her story was, you know, this white young lady's story was all blasted all over and Lauren's wasn't. I get that reference, but it's a little different because that was Gabby's boyfriend and, you know, they were traveling and this is some random man and, you know, it's just such a terrible situation. But you know, situations are a little bit different, but I get it. You know, I get that she does deserve a full investigation and reverence for her life. Online dating, we talked about, you guys know I don't do that. But if you do it, protect yourself. Protect yourself. International dating, interracially, we talked about also. And yeah, boundaries and intuition. So guys, we have been on for, we were supposed to talk about men's mental health, but in all honesty, guys, I feel like the men's mental health conversation was wove into this. I think one thing I will say about the men's mental health is that we're all going through it, especially with COVID. Who didn't at the beginning of COVID, who didn't know that this was going to require huge mental health help? We can't be in a whole plague for almost 3 years locked in our house with over 1 million deaths, probably 10 million globally, and not have mental health issues. I know a lot of cultures and a lot of people like to pretend like, oh, mental health, you know, is a nonsensical thing, but hello. Shooting at schools, the violence is up. Half people ain't got no money. Half the people don't want to work. Half of us are grieving because our family members have died. Half of us are sick with COVID ourselves. Other half been locked in the house, recluse. These are all going to require mental health things. So the men are no exception to the rule. The one thing I would say about the men is that they have a tendency to not be able to be as vocal, and they have a tendency to not have a strong community like women do. Women, we have a tendency to be a little bit more communal, and we talk. That's why sometimes when you see these men online running off their mouth like women, it'd be a little bit off-putting. But, you know, if that's how they need to express their mental health issues, then I'm all for it. But what I would say to the men on my channel and anybody who watches us is that one thing I want to point out to you is that tenderness, that comfort, that care, that healing, that softness, that nurturing, that safe space to express yourself and to be yourself, that safe space to cry if you need to, that healing, all of that energy around that is divine feminine principle. So when you're irreverent to women and you're irreverent to femininity and you don't understand what it brings to the table and you don't know what it's worth and you make towel and women are this and women are that, just understand that the feminine brings a lot to this world. And the more you rail against it, the more dis-ease you're going to experience, because by the nature of things, femininity cultivates, healthy femininity cultivates that safe space for healing, for rest, for rejuvenation, for comfort, for tenderness, for softness. Understand that. Feel empowered to get the help that you need and to find somebody who is that safe space for you to communicate. And it doesn't have to be a woman. Just because I said feminine doesn't equate to woman. Femininity is just is a characterization of the essence of what I just described: softness, safety, healing, protection, comfort, love, pleasure, joy. All of those tender experiences, those are feminine principles. So they don't necessarily have to come from a woman. It's just the yin to the yang polarity on this planet. I've said that a million times, of polarity that you have. As the pendulum swings right, it swings left. So find a way or someone to express, and try not to do it in a toxic way like murdering people or yourself. When you see people doing things that are completely nonsensical, you don't understand it, a lot to do with mental health issues. And there's nothing to be ashamed of with it, because we are all going through it. Just some of us are more fortunate to have avenues. Some of us are more fortunate to have avenues to be able to express and to be able to come to a place to resolve the mental health issues, if you're lucky. Some of us do not have the appropriate avenues. Some of us don't even realize that it's a mental health issue that we're dealing with. Some of us think it's a one person, you're the only person experiencing that. It is not the truth. We all experience it at one time or other in our lives. I realize that older generations never really talked about anything. They didn't talk about a damn thing. They don't tell you what it really is like to have a baby and to work 40 hours a week. They don't tell you what marriage is really like. They don't tell you what death is really like. They don't tell you what grieving is really like. Older generations didn't say nothing. They just want to, we don't need therapy. Yes, you motherfucking do. Yes, you do need therapy. That's why we all messed up right now. Because all of y'all was acting, generation above, acting like y'all ain't need no therapy when you were just the main ones that needed therapy. So now we sitting here trying to figure out, do I need therapy? Do I need help? Do I need counseling? Do I need somebody to talk to? Yes, my love. There's no way to get through this without it. And there's no shame in your game. Reach out. Reach out. Ask a professional. There are plenty of numbers to call to just speak to a professional. It's okay. Stop railing against the feminine softness and comfort and care and healing, and get the help that you need. Get the help that you need. You are deserving and you are worthy of it. Men, I'm talking to you. You are deserving and worthy of it. You can't just look around and see all the women healing themselves, all the women going on retreats, all the women in sister circles and loving up on themselves and doing the thing and living their lives and getting their career and getting their fitness and their mental health and physical health together, nutrition together, and you sitting there roasting inside. No, ma'am. Get yourself together too. You are deserving too. Of course. Today, we had been talking about actions of some particular men, but this is not a man-bashing channel at all. We love men around here. You know? What you think, we over here looking cute for what? For men, okay? So we love men around here. And so we empower you to reach out for the help that you need and the healing and the support that you deserve. And don't just keep it to yourself, because we are all going through it. No matter how you see makeup, no matter how you see somebody look good, no matter how you see somebody got money, them be the main ones going through it. The main ones. Yeah. So any other comments you guys want to chime in, I would ask you to smash that like button. This is our kickback. I had promised you guys that every Friday night I was going to show my face. I was going to go live, and your girl is gone live. YouTube messed up the first live, so it's like 20 minutes on the first piece of this, and then the rest of the minutes is over here. So I don't know, I'm gonna leave it as is. It is Mercury in retrograde, so maybe that's the reason. But to be honest with you, when I used to go live on YouTube in the past, it would be the same foolishness. Like kicking you off, glitching, the internet not working, you in a deep, good conversation, and here go YouTube messing up the thing. So the same situation happens tonight, but I think we had a good conversation. You guys had asked for us to talk about the Bumble date death, and then we also talked a little bit about men's mental health. If you guys want to talk more deeply about that, pop some comments in here. Let me know what you want to talk about. But what I want to say about that is that men are deserving of the care and tenderness and love too. And no matter how you see them running around here like sick puppies on a manosphere online, just understand that whenever you see that type of behavior, what place it has to come from. And understand, again, this is a planet of polarity. You know what I mean? So just as much light as there is dark, but you have the opportunity to choose and to lean towards what better serves you. More powerful than they've let on. You ain't got to take my word for it. Test it out for yourself. Yeah. I do these videos so you know you're not out here in this crazy world alone. If this is your first time here, I thank you so much for joining us. And if you're a returning viewer, an oldie but a goodie, good looking out, your girl is back. Friday nights, follow me on IG. It's Kells with 3 S's. Santhia says men's mental health is so important. I mean, we need them. We need them to be strong. We need them to be physically well adept, mentally well adept, spiritually well adept. Half the stuff you see on the internet is bare spiritual warfare. Santhia, you know about that. You in Louisiana. You in New Orleans. Half of the stuff you see them running off on the mount with, and you're like, what kind of craziness are these people talking? Spiritual warfare. Half of them are AI, not even real human beings on the internet talking foolishness. You know what I mean? You guys have to know. You guys have to know. You know what I mean? If it doesn't make you feel good, turn it off and block it. You know what I mean? Herbal smokes, teas, and tinctures to the ting. You see? Hit up your girl Santhia. Get them spirits. You know what I mean? Get them spiritual warfare out. But you know what I mean? Over here, we're strong. And we're in this together because we learn from the collective wisdom of the It's Kells community. I thank you guys so much for joining me this Friday. Let me know what you guys want me to talk about next week. I'll put another poll in my IG. It's Kells with 3 S's on the end. I'll put also in the community here on YouTube, so you'll let me know what you want me to talk about next week. But we'll be back here Friday for Friday night kickbacks with you guys. I promise I'll show my face, and here you go. I had to do the pink tonight because the topics were so heavy. I said, all right, let me do some little bubbly lip gloss since the topics are so heavy. But hopefully it wasn't too heavy for you guys. I thank you so much for joining. You guys were really quiet in the comments tonight, and I saw the numbers watching. But, you know, I appreciate those who chimed in the comments, and smash that like button on your way out. I so appreciate you guys for joining. And we'll see you here next week, yeah? Yes. Clink, 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 clink. Cheers. Bye, guys.